I'd planned a really exciting intro for this video because I wanted to showcase the Canon C70 in the best light possible, as well as making the most of the time that I had with it and really get to grips with using it in real world scenarios. So, yep, my hard drive failed and I lost some of the footage. I then messaged some of my basketball mates to see if they were up for doing some filming, but none of them were available over Christmas, unfortunately. So my mate Tom had to do it, and he was pretending he knows what he's doing. Then it rained, so we had to stop filming. I then managed to get in touch with a dancer who owns her own studio, and this is gonna be good. Then she had to cancel, unfortunately, but I hope she's all right. Best wishes to her. So I'm running out of time. I had to resort to, again, Tom stepping in and helping me out and heading to the skate park and catching him do some tricks. Yeah, I know, it's annoying. All of these attempts, something's telling me not to make this video for whatever reason, I don't know. All I wanted to do was test out this amazing camera and get some really good footage. But who knows, maybe hire a camera will let me borrow this again. And I apologise for not bringing you an epic intro like I promised. But I still managed to get some really good test footage and get to grips with the camera and see what it's like. So that's what I'm going to be showing you in this video. And also talking about the features that I would use the most with this camera, and hopefully it relates to you as well. And if you want to see some comparisons between the C70 and the R6, there's a link up here that you can click and you can watch that video. So let's jump straight into it. Firstly, the dynamic range. The C70 has 16 stops of advertised dynamic range. Now there is a big difference, and you can see in this example that if you look at the sky, you can see the sun peeking through, but you can still see a lot of the detail in the clouds. This means you can get away with not having perfect lighting or the perfect exposure, but you don't want to be falling into bad habits. Always light and expose your shots correctly. C-Log 2 is my new favourite profile. It's amazing. 16 stops of dynamic range. C-Log 3 only has 14, I believe, and then the normal C-Log in the R6, for example, is around 12-ish. But personally, I just prefer C-Log 2 over C-Log 3. I think it just looks really nice. It's one of those subjective things. People like Sony's, other people like Canons and Panasonic, Fujifilm, whatever. People have their favourites, but I just love C-Log 2. It's amazing. Right, low light. This, to be honest, was one of the areas that let it down for me. I mean, I was really surprised. With it having such a high dynamic range, I thought it was going to be really good in low light. But as you can see, it's really grainy. Maybe it's got something to do with the fact that it's a cropped sensor, I'm not sure. I even thought I'd got the wrong settings, but I hadn't. And the R6 in this case performed so much better. So that was extremely surprising. A little bit of a letdown, to be honest. I mean, I don't know what to say about that one. So it's a super 35mm sensor. I think you can put it into like a super 16 mode as well. If you want that super wide field of view, then it's worth going full frame. And also, if you're filming in a tight space like I am right now, I just love having that flexibility of a full frame camera. This is cropped because I'm using the R at the moment. R6 is over here. Super handy having full frame. But you know, you can make do. I've got a wide enough lens for it to work in a tight space like this. You can always make do. And some people prefer that look of the cropped sensor. Built-in ND, mint feature, love it. absolutely love it. So beneficial when you're swapping lenses, not to have to worry about unscrewing and screwing back on ND filters. Love having that. The only thing is, it would be really good if somehow they incorporated a dial so that you could have the in-between stops as well, just a bit more flexibility and versatility and all the tilities. So yeah, super handy having it built in. I will miss that. Probably one of the things I miss the most, to be fair. And I know you can get the adapters for the R6 and the R5 and the R, but that only worked with the old style lenses, which is strange really. You'd have thought they'd have brought out an adapter that you can have the ND filter in that works with the RF lenses. Why haven't they done that? Mental. Canon, please make one of those. It's got to be easy. Has it? Or does it do something? Something anyway, come on. So the slow-mo capabilities are fantastic in this camera. You've got 120 at 4K, but also it can go up to 180 frames per second in some of the other modes. So if you need that bit of extra slow-mo, you've got it in there. I think it does have a crop in 180, but for me, that's plenty. 120 is plenty. To be fair, I don't use a lot of 120 anyway, so I'm not too fussed about that personally. Love the white balance features on this. Nice and easy to get up and running. It's what you'd expect it to be like. Hold a white card or a grey card up to the lens and then focus in on it, and then it sets your white balance for you. Really handy. And you've also got colour compensation for that extra bit of flexibility. So perfect, absolutely love this, and it's spot on every time. I wish they had that in the R6 and the R5. So when it actually comes to using the camera and holding it, it took a while to get used to because of the size of it and the weight and everything and where all the buttons are. You've got 13 customizable buttons on there, which is amazing. You can do what you want with them. However, because the record button's over on this side, if you want to hold this with the handle, your record button's over there. So you've either got to do this or swap hands, start recording and swap over. Now, I tried to make one of these buttons the record button, but you couldn't. But for some reason, it has an option to switch button number 4 to record. Now, it would have been good if you could select one of these, because when your hand's there underneath already steadying the camera, you could just tap that and start recording. Super simple, but instead you've just got to reach around a little bit like that and press it and then get in position. You could also use the touch screen to start recording as well, but again, it's a little bit of a faff. But it's better than nothing. So it hasn't got IBIS, so you're relying on either the lens stabilisation or digital stabilisation. Great that you've got the top handle, but what helps with this is the fact that the rolling shutter performance is really good. So if you look at these examples, it's not crazy wobbly like this. It actually does a really good job. So when you're blasting it past trees on a one wheel, for example, if you're gonna risk doing that with this, or you're going past pillars, or there's a lot of camera movement, you're gonna still get a decent looking image without it looking too warped. But I really like that sort of handheld, authentic look. If you do want super smooth movement, then something like a gimbal will definitely help. Plenty of audio options. As you can see, it's got 2 mini XLR inputs, as well as a built-in mic and a 3.5 mini jack as well for something like a vlogging mic that you could use for a backup, for example. And you can use them simultaneously. Loads of options there behind the screen that you can customize. So you've got full control over your audio tracks. And I loved being able to have your main audio source and a backup, or even 2 backups. Another thing is if you're doing an interview with multiple people, for example, you can use 2 main microphones, plug them straight into the camera, and you could have one for yourself as well if you're the person asking questions. Oh, I just love it. Absolutely. I'm gonna miss this. I'm gonna miss it. I feel like we've become best buds. Now, the recording limit is amazing on this. You got up to 428 minutes on the smaller file size MP4 version, or up to 156 minutes in the CF-AVC 420 megabits per second mode. So super long recording times, much better than the 30-minute limit you've got on the smaller photo cameras, for example. It's just great for stuff like interviews or shows and wedding speeches and anything like that. Really handy not having to worry about your cut-off point. File sizes are really good. The computer seems to hold up really well with it. It does chop and lag a little bit when you get it into Premiere, but it does play in your Finder window, so you can preview your footage before putting it into Premiere, which I like. Whereas the R6 or the R5, it doesn't want to play those files back until you get it in Premiere, and then it's super choppy. But I mean, what I do anyway is convert all my files to ProRes, because I like to edit my footage in the full res version, because I like to see all the detail and the exact colors. So I just prefer it that way. Yes, it takes up a little bit more space on your hard drive, but you can free that up afterwards. So yeah, that's the way I do it. However, if you are a proxy fan, this does actually record proxies straight to the second memory card if you want to. So you've got your full resolution version on one memory card and then a proxy version on the other card. So you don't have to mess around making the proxies afterwards. It's already done for you. So the SD cards that I use are these pro grade V90 cards. They're actually 300 megabits per second, 128 gig. Love these. What more can I say? There'll be a link in the description below so you can go and check these out on Amazon. They work brilliantly with the C70, but so do the SanDisk options as well. But it recommends going for a V90 to be able to record in most of the modes on the C70. I've been able to record the higher frame rates and everything perfectly, so pro grade. Overall, I absolutely love this camera. I'm gonna miss it so much. It's the perfect addition and main camera to a setup like this, especially if you've got RF lenses already and you're invested in that Canon system. It's amazing. I love all the features on it, the audio options, the flexibility, and it's not too big. It's not too big. It's still, you can still handle it fairly well. It's really simple to use, and all of the assist features as well that you've got. But who is this camera for, really? Well, it's definitely aimed at the pro, either cinematographer or somebody that does a lot of corporate jobs and needs the flexibility of audio options, longer recording times, and stuff like that. And if you know that you're going to be lighting your scene extremely well and you're not going to be filming a lot of low light stuff, then it's absolutely fine. And I just want to say a massive thank you to Hire a Camera, who have lent me this equipment to review. Thank you so much, an incredible company. I've mentioned them a few times, but if you've missed it, there's a link up here to a video where I talk about all their excellent customer service and the service in general and how beneficial it is to hire gear. So definitely worth checking out, and thanks again. I couldn't have done this without you, so I really appreciate it. So let me know what you think to this camera in the comments below. Always love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more gear reviews and tutorials. Have a great week, and I will see you in the next one. I've got to pack this up now because it's going tomorrow. I'm so sad. Do I actually have to give it back? Well, I mean, yes, I do. But hopefully I'll be seeing it again very soon.